right into it. How did you get involved with the film?
Well, I got a message on Facebook, which is always, if you have those messages that if you receive them from someone you don't know, they sit in a different inbox, and so I could have missed it, and I'm so glad I didn't. And I saw that Alastair was asking whether I can audition for the film, so I did, and I initially auditioned for Erin and Ryan, and then I got part of Ryan. So yeah, I'm just glad I didn't miss the audition or anything, because I had so much fun and enjoyed making this film with them.
That's certainly a different way to get an audition.
Yeah.
So you auditioned for two roles. When you did that, did you kind of want one over the other, or you were just happy with whoever you got?
Yeah, I guess I was, but I am, because Ryan's very close to my own name as well, so I kind of had this, I was like feeling, I would love to play Ryan. But Erin was such a great character too. So I guess it's 50-50 because they both have so much going for them. You know why I would play Erin. But Ryan was such a great character to play, the brainy one. It was fun.
Yeah, it's a no lose there. I mean, both characters were great and obviously had very important roles in the movie. So, for those who haven't seen it, since we're talking about your character, what would you say about your character and kind of describe her and kind of what's going on here in the movie?
I would say Ryan is definitely Harvard material. She's ambitious, hardworking, and she has a lot of goals in her life, and she's set on getting them. So the thing is, and she has this amazing boyfriend, and he's the complete opposite. He's more of a he plays in a band, and he's very laid back and loving and fun, where Ryan is a little bit more she's decisive and knows what to do in life. And so they made a great couple in the film. I think that was quite sweet. And Ryan is the one everyone looks up to and asking her, not up to, they find her very irritating because she corrects everyone, but they are looking up to her to find a solution to stop these bombs on their chests. So I think she had a lot of pressure in the film to use her brain to try and figure out how are they going to get out of this situation.
Awesome. I'm kind of curious about the shooting here. You shot, where was this shot in? And was it like in a jungle the entire time, or a forest, or?
Yeah, it was a very small piece of forest, but next to a neighborhood, so it wasn't even that deep in or anything. It was close to the freeway. So it was very accessible for equipment and crew and cast. And it's amazing what you can do at night. You can shoot in this very small space of forest and just kind of tweak the lights or, change the location of the tents and everything. And so there was still a lot of spiders and insects and stuff, so it was foresty for me, definitely.
Well, I'd say it was good photography then, because it definitely looks like you guys are well into a jungle atmosphere there, and I guess it does.
Yeah.
I guess it does help that it is at night, though.
Yeah, definitely. Brendan Bond, he's the director of photography, and yeah, he's got a lot of films. He's done a lot of films. I think this one was definitely the quickest one because it was raining so much, so there wasn't a lot of time when you had to shoot, you had to film, so a lot of pressure there, but he's very talented.
And was it harder to film because it was at night for you guys, or did you kind of figure your way around?
Oh no, for me it was definitely, because I'm one to go early to bed, early to rise kind of person. I like to sleep, so it was definitely tough for me, but I could use that for the character. You would be tired if Ryan was obviously tired because she's just been running around all day trying to save herself, and and PJ and everyone basically. So even though I was tired of Reine myself, I could use that for the character. It was difficult, but it was, I could use that, so that's good.
and everybody had those jackets on because that's part of the film. Were they really heavy, or I mean, was it really tough to run around with that, or did they were, I guess, more lighter than they looked?
If I remember correctly, and maybe I'm mistaken because I think for me, I looked at them and I thought they were going to be very, very heavy. So, you know, when your expectations are really high, and then when I wore it, and it wasn't that heavy, but after a few hours, it becomes uncomfortable and heavy. And again, you can use that for your character because it's a bomb strapped to your chest, which is kind of, you know, what the whole movie is about. And so, yeah, after a while, it became heavy and uncomfortable, but it was much lighter than I thought initially.
Oh, okay, cool. So there's a lot of, I guess, there's a lot of characters in the movie, so there's a lot of deaths in the movie. Did you have one that you particularly liked overall and that you thought was really well done as far as the special effects and so forth?
Oh, yeah, no, there was one, I think Bobby, so Bobby's character played by Michael, he had a whole, body made for him. So that was pretty cool. It was, they made a whole, a molding for his head and everything. And the special effects team just did a great, great job. The way, they made the extra body. I don't know what you call it, but yeah, it was really good. And, the way he dies, they used that. So that was really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's real fun when, I was, in a way, when they first showed the first explosion, you're like, oh, we're going to get a bunch of explosions. But then I guess it's good that there were some other ways of death in there, and it wasn't just about everybody exploding.
Exactly, yeah. And I think it just, adds to it, makes it more exciting. And if everyone was just going to explode, it would have been just a bunch of CGI and, yeah.
Definitely. I talked about a couple of the hard things I've asked, but were there some fun stories? You have a large cast. Were there some fun things going on behind the scenes, in between breaks and so forth?
Yeah, no, we actually, the one day we had this, a break, and we went to play laser tag, which I thought was really fun because we, just bonding as a cast and everything, that was a really good idea. That was actually Cameron Scott's idea. He's one of the cast members, and just we became good friends, which is good. I can't really think of something really funny that happened. Okay, but this is funny, but I don't know if it's ladylike. But we had chicken to eat, and never ever eat chicken on set. That's what I've learned. So we were in this small tent filming the scene, and I think everyone was just really polite, but it was definitely my tummy not doing so great in the small tent, so that was funny for me. Yeah, but not for the others so much.
I'll wrap it up with this. I know probably most people haven't seen this movie yet, so in your words, what can fans expect from this movie? What do you think they're going to like from this movie?
I think what they're going to like, it's very suspenseful, it's quick, it's got blood and gore and all of that, and your archetypes of millennials getting blown up, but also it has a lot of humor in, and I think that's what makes it different and special.
Awesome. That's great to hear. I just to let you know, I really enjoyed the movie. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, at first, I'm just kind of thinking everybody was just going to explode, but I liked that it gave you different deaths here and there, and it was a big enough cast to pull all that off. So I thank you for your time and joining me today.
No, thank you, Emma. I really appreciate it, and I'm honored to have done this interview. Thank you so much.
How did you get involved with the film?
Yeah, it's sort of quite a funny story. I was on a plane back to Los Angeles, where I've sort of been based for the past 6 years. And I got an email from the director, Alastair Orr, who said to me that he's about to go into production on Triggered, and would I be interested in reading the script? So he sent the script over to me. I had a look at it. I had a good laugh at all the silly one-liners, and I thought it would be a really, really fun project to be involved in.
So you were on board right after you read the script. No problems.
Well, I literally arrived back in Los Angeles, and after sort of a 36-hour flight, so I was pretty much jet lagged. And 2 days later, I was back in the plane back to South Africa, Johannesburg, to go and shoot for a couple of days. So yeah, I just thought the script was really entertaining. And really sort of scary and exciting and funny at times.
And did your role kind of turn out the way you thought from the script, or was there kind of changes once shooting started, or?
Alastair is very much an actor's director, so he gave me absolute freedom to, my interpretation on how I wanted to play the character. So it was really awesome to work with. When I arrived back in South Africa, he said to me, "Okay, cool. What do you need from me as a director?" And I said, "Well, I've made some interesting choices. So, let's have a go at it. And if you've got any notes, I'm absolutely open to them." But it was really awesome to work with, as was the rest of the cast.
So this was the first time you worked with him?
Yeah, I'd heard of Alastair. He's an up-and-coming film director in South Africa, certainly in the indie world. And as a South African-born actor, I wanted to, obviously be as supportive as I can of indie filmmakers. I jumped in a plane back to South Africa, and Alastair and the team are really cool to work with.
And also working with the cast, I guess you're one of the more veteran actors on the set there. How'd you get along with the other cast?
Yeah, I was really only on set for 3 days. But Soraya Santos, I'd worked with on a movie called Last Broken Darkness a couple of years ago, a sci-fi movie. So Soraya and I have been friends for a couple of years, and Liesl and Reine, I've also been friends with and also been fans of their work for the last number of years. So it's indie filmmaking, so it really is a sort of collaborative team effort, on a very limited budget and a very, very tight schedule. But everybody really sort of threw their hearts into it to do the best possible work.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your character then. I've seen the movie, but some of the people who are going to hear this interview haven't. So can tell us a little bit about the character and his role in the movie.
Yeah, Peterson is a science teacher at a school, and what happens is his son dies from a drug overdose, and subsequently Peterson's wife then commits suicide because of this, and so he's a very, very damaged individual. And he spends a couple of months sort of investigating, what really happened to his son. And he sort of pinpoints these 9 school friends who were at this party that his son was at, and he blames them for his son's death and obviously his wife's subsequent suicide. And he basically goes out to sort of seek revenge and try and get these 9 particular school kids or college kids together in the woods to confront them.
And when he does confront them, he's pretty he's mad at them, obviously. So can you kind of talk about playing that bad guy role? Did you like that? Did you like being bad with the kids there, or is that more tougher to play?
I'm really fortunate in the sense that I've mainly played baddies and sort of intense psycho killers and hardcore antagonists over the past 20, 30 years. So Peterson was different in a sense. It was sort of challenging in the sense that I'd never really played a school teacher before, and I have a 16-year-old niece I'm really, really fond of. So I know a lot of people have sort of said to me, Sean, what do you have against millennials? You know, but it was really funny. It was actually really fun to climb inside this character and try and understand his sort of headspace. But yes, I mean, he is a very, very damaged, disturbed individual. And for me, it's, even though I've played a lot of baddies, as most actors will tell you, when you're playing a baddie, when somebody is a baddie or a psychopath, they don't feel that they are that way. They believe that they're completely normal and everything that they're saying and they're doing is absolutely justified. So I really sort of played to that. But it was a fun role, and but very much Triggered is an ensemble piece. So my job always is, if I'm coming in to play a small supporting role or cameo role, is really to sort of support that cast and those characters and sort of give them what they need for their journey in the story.
Yeah, well, your character certainly gets things started there, and I mean, as I was watching it, I mean, I was for sure we were going to see at least one more shot of you, maybe as maybe a flashback or somewhere along there, but we don't. We get that main part there, and then that's it.
Yeah, I was actually chatting to Alastair Orr, the director, earlier this evening, and evening here in South Africa, and I sort of said to him, well, maybe we can do Triggered 2, the prequel, so then we can find out Peterson's entire backstory, with his son and his wife and all that. I don't know, he wasn't too keen on that. I'm just another actor looking for work in these crazy and strange times.
Yeah. Again, I thought for sure, but I guess as the story goes, I guess they fill it in. The other characters kind of fill in more of the story as it goes, so it works out in the end.
Yeah.
So talk about a little bit of the location there. You said you were only on set for 3 days, but maybe some of the others were there longer. But as far as filming in the woods there, how was that?
I think it was certainly. I mean, indie filmmaking is challenging as it is because you've got an incredibly tight schedule. You've only got a couple of weeks to get this movie in the can, and really on day one, in the night, in the middle of the woods in this forest in Johannesburg, it started pouring with rain, and they really had to sort of just go with it. And so it was challenging in the sense, my sort of first entrance into the movie, I sort of come, sneaking out of the woods, and I approach, the 9 main characters and their sort of camp that they've made. But obviously it was very muddy and very slippery, so on take one I sort of went sliding and fell on my ass. But so I didn't exactly make the most dramatic, grand entrance. But once everybody had stopped laughing, we went for take 2. It was very challenging in that sense. All these, night shoots and in the rain and the mud and everything. But at the same time, that also made it actually very real for us. It's not like we were shooting on some, set with, CGI or something. So it really helps. It really helps when you shoot on location. There's very minimal acting required.
Well, when I asked kind of Ren about it, and she said it was kind of smaller than it looked, because as I was watching the film, I thought they'd covered a lot of ground there, but the way she described it is it was a smaller, more closed set than you would have thought. So I was kind of impressed with that.
Yeah, I mean, Alastair, there was obviously, because it was, torrential rains for a couple of weeks, which was never in the script. Obviously that was very challenging for them. Set lights that were exploding in the rain, and they had to wait for the rain to stop. And so it was a very sort of, challenging, demanding shoot for them. But, really, in all honesty, I mean, all filmmaking, whether it's indie filmmaking on a budget of whatever the budget was, or whether it's $100 million movie, one is faced with all these challenges. And yes, on day one of shooting, we sort of left base camp and got into a golf cart and sort of drove in the slippery mud into the woods, and then our golf cart got stuck and we basically sort of walked through the mud and slipped our way onto the set. And no, I mean, the woods or the forest as such wasn't, a really, really big area to play in, but I mean, that's really the sort of the trickery of filmmaking.
For the fans that are gonna see this movie, what do you think they're gonna like most about it, and what do you expect that they'll like the most from it?
I mean, in these crazy times, that we globally in at this moment in time, it's absolute escapism, and so I'm sure for audiences it's going to be a really fun roller coaster. Let me say that again. I should have had that third whiskey. I really think it's going to be, a really fun roller coaster ride for them, and with a couple of laughs. Really funny one-liners thrown in. So, if it was released theatrically, it would be an awesome, first date movie to take somebody on. But I think it's going to be a really fun ride for people to go on.
Awesome. I meant to ask before that question. Have you've seen the completed film?
No, that's the funny thing. I'm so envious of all the press because they've been sent screeners and so for most of us we haven't actually seen the final cut yet. So I've seen snippets of the movie, where I had to do some ADR and loop in. So I've seen some snippets of the movie, but I haven't seen it in its final cut with all the grading and all the CGI and stuff. So I'm very envious of everybody who's seen it. But the response so far has been amazing. So it's really awesome.
Yes, I mean it is a very good, fun movie, and like I was saying before, when I was talking to Brandon, I thought there was gonna be a lot. I thought once you strap the jackets on everybody, I thought, oh well, we're just gonna see a movie where everybody's just exploding. But then it kind of became a true, more horror movie with people dying in different ways, and once everybody kind of turns on each other.
I mean, I love that. I'm obviously, as an actor, I'm obsessed with TV and film, and I love really, really good storytelling, and I love these kind of scenarios where you wonder, what is the character going to do next, or what would I do in this scenario? And so I love that. I love the fact that there are questions asked to the audience, that sort of figure it out as they go along. And also I love the little bits of humor every now and again, because it really sort of allows the audience to just sort of just have a little bit of a breather before they sort of continue. So yeah,
it's well executed in that manner. I don't want to give too many spoilers away. There is one character who's kind of a little bit more funny, and I guess that person kind of gets into the role of wanting to kill more than some of the others, and they certainly have fun with it.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing. It's, I suppose, from a storytelling point of view, it really is a case of fight or flight. When you are confronted with that situation, what would you do in that scenario? And I suppose from a storytelling point of view, it's wonderful to see maybe innocent people ending up doing really, really bad things, because it is really just all about survival. And I do know that when Alastair wrote the got the movie together and sat down with David Jones, he really wanted a case of 9 friends who literally end up stabbing each other in the back, as opposed to 9 complete strangers. So I love that about the movie.
Did you ever have any thoughts of what you would do if you were put in a similar situation?
I keep on getting asked that question. I really have no idea. It's the worst thing ever. I know. In all honesty, I'm probably too much of a wimp. If I wouldn't want to be killed horrifically by somebody. So I would, and you can't run away. I mean, you've got this damn suicide vest strapped to your body. So I know I would probably kill myself. I'd probably jump off the cliff or something. Or, I don't know. What would you do? This is the question, Omar. What would you do in that scenario?
Well, as a horror fan and watching so many movies and so forth, horror fans always say, well, I would be prepared for that situation. I would know what to do. I've seen that movie before. I've seen something like that before. So it would be one of those times where you'd wonder, okay, is this really going to truly kick in? Am I really going to go to my horror movie references, or am I going to be more true to myself? And if I'm true to myself, yeah, I'd probably be like you. I'd probably end up dead real fast.
Yeah, the thing is, for my character, Peterson, he's the old guy, right? So they'll probably kill him first. They probably think, this guy doesn't really have much to live for anyway, so, yeah. But it was so funny, I was chatting to somebody else, and they said to me, oh, come on, Sean, it was up to me. I would just take them out one by one. They'll go like into full-on survival mode. But no, I'll probably be a wimp.
Sorry to interrupt, we just have a couple minutes left.
All right, no problem. I guess to kind of wrap this up, you mentioned South African filming. I'm not really familiar with it too much, but how is it filming over there, and is it different? How is it different than over here, and especially for a movie like this?
Yeah, South Africa, really over the past sort of 2 decades, is very sort of known for the fact that they have incredible studios over here, really talented and experienced crew and cast. And with wonderful tax incentives and incredible locations. Gee, I really sound like this sounds like a commercial for location in South Africa. I've been fortunate, really over the past 2 decades to work on some major international TV series and films that have been shot in South Africa. And so, really, really varied locations and really, really experienced crews. I find working in the States, I've sort of been based in Los Angeles for the past 5.5 years, and I do find the States, especially when you're working for a network or a studio in that sense. I think South Africans by sort of default are, really friendly and down to earth and easygoing. Where I sometimes find, working in the States, it's a lot more intense. South Africans sort of will tend to sort of in between takes have a good laugh and go, oh, let's get a cup of coffee or let's have a cigarette and okay, let's go for another take. Whereas in the States, it's a little bit more intense. there isn't time to have fun. We're here to work and stretch that dollar. But no, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful place to work in, and obviously right now, with our lockdown restrictions, things have eased a lot. So we sort of opened up borders, and literally in the past 2 weeks, I've just finished working on a local movie here in South Africa, and I shoot on Friday on a South African TV series. So things have really sort of opened up over here.
That's good to hear, because I think we're going to go back in the other direction. But I guess I appreciate your time, and I just wanted to throw in there that I did catch Fried Berry, which I believe was shot over there as well.
Oh, cool!
And I really, really enjoyed that movie. Real fun movie. Obviously different than this one, but another good one that I guess was shot over there.
Yeah, Ryan Kruger's a wonderful South African indie filmmaker, and I've known Ryan for many years, and we've done lots of short films and music videos together. So I'm so excited for him that Fried Berry is doing so well on the festival circuit. It really is a very, very strange movie. It's very strange.
It is, and that's what makes it so good.
Absolutely, it's awesome for him, to really sort of put South Africa on the map with such a sort of genre-bending, strange film, and it really I think will help sort of international audiences sort of view South Africa really in a different light. So that's also Magic called Flying Barry.
Awesome. Yes, I definitely couldn't miss that one. But I know you got to go, so I want to thank you very much for your time, and it was a pleasure to speak with you today.
Likewise, thanks so much, Omar. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, how did you get involved with the film, and how did you end up playing Aaron?
That's so cool. I like one Saturday night, I was sitting eating popcorn at my house, and on the TV, this film came on called House on Willow Street, and it was directed by Alastair Orr, and I saw that he's also South African, because I'm South African, and I was like, wow, he's incredible. I would love to work with him someday. And so it's really a full circle moment, because he just contacted me and he said, listen, I would love for you to read for Erin. And when I read the script, first of all, I was laughing because I thought it was really funny. I thought it was so great. I love the concept. And I said, yes, I would love to audition for Erin. I sent him a self-tape, and yes, the rest is history.
And what did you like when you read the script? What did you like about Erin that really wanted you to made you want to play the role?
I'm so happy you asked that question, because I just immediately knew that I wanted to play Erin. I felt like this was a chance for me to kind of challenge society's the way that they think about introverts. I feel like introverts are sometimes stereotyped in a negative way, like being boring, or are you a mute, or you're not fun, And I really wanted to challenge that. And I felt that this was a great opportunity, because that's exactly, I feel like Erin has so many sides to her. She's so mysterious, and none of us are just the one thing that people stereotype us as, where we have a lot of layers to us, And that's why I love Erin.
And kind of tell us a little bit about Erin and her role in this film.
Cool. Okay, so Erin Coleman, like I said, she comes across as very reserved, an introvert. She's friends with these eight people, and especially quite close to Ryan. And so she's been in high school with them, and she dated a guy called Caleb, and he kind of introduced her to this friend group. So she met him met them through him, and I think we've all been in a situation where you kind of become friends with a group of people because it's your boyfriend's friends, So it's that situation. And yeah, she just happens to be in the woods. I want to say kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I think she wants to be there as well, because she's really close friends with Ryan, like I said. And then, she wakes up, gets gassed, bomb strapped to her chest, and that's where the whole story begins.
Let's talk about that bomb strapped to the chest there. What was your feelings about running around with that on the entire time, and was that comfortable, uncomfortable? How'd that work out for you?
Well, the props team did a really good job, because it looks like it's metal and quite heavy, the vest, but it's actually, I think it's made out of foam, some type of foam thing. So it's very comfortable. It was a bit tight around my body, but that was fun for me. That added to the character. That added to the whole experience, because it's good to feel constricted, But it wasn't that hard running around with it. But when I had to lay down when Amber tries to stab you with a knife, that was very uncomfortable, because it's such a big vest, and then when you lie down, it's just horrible. But it was great, because you're subconsciously aware of your timer ticking down the whole time, because of this constrictedness that the vest creates around your body.
That's funny. I just spoke with Alastair a few minutes ago, and he was saying how he hated them and how they kept changing colors on them and doing all kinds of unexpected things.
That is true. they had a lot of technical problems because it was remote controlled, and it wouldn't work, and we all had different numbers that we had to remember so that they know which remote to use for which vest. And the vests broke, as you can imagine, as we were rolling around in the actual woods. They got so damaged. So we couldn't even take them home, because I would have loved to take one of them, for myself as a souvenir. But we couldn't, because they were so damaged.
So they drove you equally as crazy.
Yeah, they did. Now that you're talking about it, yep, they did. they were quite a thing to handle on set.
Let's talk. I kind of also asked. I found it fascinating that you guys shot kind of in a forest / jungle kind of atmosphere. What was it like for yourself working out there, and was it hard? How did you just adapt to that atmosphere?
Yeah, it was definitely hard because we only did night shoots, and we shot this film in 11 days. We were supposed to shoot it over 17 days, and like you probably know, that's not a long shooting period to begin with. But then it started raining, so we couldn't shoot in the rain. It was getting too muddy. Someone got injured, so it was crazy. So we only had 11 days, and only night shoots. It's funny how your body doesn't really adjust to that. I thought like by the fourth night I'd be good, but it is quite a challenge, and to stay focused and to keep your accent, and just to be in character all the time. And also running around. I mean, I tripped over tree trunks. There were bugs. It was crazy, but I definitely feel that added to the overall effect of the film, and it really was beneficial to the film, the fact that we shot in the woods.
So you didn't really feel too embarrassed if you fell down or whatever, because I already heard a story or two about people falling and so forth.
No, I didn't, because Alastair, the director, he was just like, no, I'll keep that shot. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, So it was really funny. He was like, if you fall, if you trip, guys, I'm going to keep it. We want it to look as real as possible. And in a way, that was fun as an actor, to have. It's very freeing, to know that you can just do whatever you want to do. And if you trip and fall, you don't have to start over. You can just continue.
Yeah, I'm sure that made it easier, and it definitely adds to the realism of what's going on, because with the tense situation, and then obviously the place that you are, you can't expect things to go perfectly.
Yeah, no. So I think if we were in a studio, it would have been, it would have felt too perfect in a way, So I'm good. I'm happy that we did it in the woods, where things went wrong as it did in the actual scenario. So yes.
Well, one of the things that I particularly enjoyed, and I echoed it with the other people I talked to, was that the film wasn't just about, you see at the beginning that it's about, you think that it's going to be about just people exploding here and there, but it ends up that you guys actually do a lot of fighting between each other, and there's a lot of actual just regular deaths that you'd see in other horror movies. So did you like that? What was it like going through some of the special effects with your character, and also mixing with some of the other characters?
My character doesn't do too many action scenes, but I do have a scene with Amber where she's like on top of me and trying to stab me with a knife. That to me was a lot of fun. I have a brown belt in martial arts, and I've always wanted to put it to the test in a film. So I was like, yes, can I kill someone? Can I do something? So I was very open to that. But we only shooting 11 days, as you can imagine. We didn't have a lot of time to prepare, or like stunt rehearsals or any of that. So whatever you're seeing in the film is something we just rehearsed like 5 minutes before, and then we just shot it. Not even 5 minutes, like a minute before. We're like, okay, are you going to do that? I'll do this. And then, okay, action. It was very much guerrilla style. But I think it made us all feel a bit more stressed out, and that adds to the atmosphere of the film.
Just to kind of follow that up, it sounds like you had all kinds of fun doing it. You had no problem doing it.
Oh my goodness, no, it was so much fun. I personally love films where you can like get your hands dirty and just go all in, and just have the best time. I feel like if you commit to something, you have to go full out, Yes, and we all definitely had the best time. We were laughing a lot, and everyone who was there wanted to be there. That's the thing about low budget films, is like if people are there, that's because they wanted to be there for the right reason, Mm-hmm. So the camaraderie on set was just so great.
Awesome. And I guess my final question, and I asked this of the others as well, is a chance to give you a chance for you to kind of tell fans what they should expect from the movie, and why they should watch the movie, and why you think they'll enjoy it.
Yes, thank you. I think you should watch this film because the people who made it because they were just really excited to make a film like this. They were inspired by movies, and they felt like they always want to make something like this. And they're vision was for people to have fun, to enjoy it, to laugh out loud, to just have the best time. So please go watch it. Let us know what you think about the film on IMDb. We are so excited about this film. We had so much fun making it, and we hope that it shows in the film. And yeah, I just hope you have a blast and that it will keep you at the edge of your seat at all times.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time. Just to let you know, I enjoyed the movie. It was very well done, and like I said, I enjoyed that. It wasn't just everybody exploding, that there was actually a lot of action and fighting and horror and so forth.
Oh, thanks so much, Omar. This really means a lot to me that you like the film. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you again for your time and joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is, it's so great. Thank you so much.
About what the movie's about and why you wanted to direct it.
So the film's about 9 friends that reunite after going to college, and they go for a reunion trip in the woods, and things get a bit out of hand that night. They party a little bit too hard. We get some hints into their relationships, but we also get the idea that something deeper is sizzling beneath the surface. And when they wake up the next morning, they wake up a couple of hours later, they're strapped into these suicide bomb vests, and they have to figure out what's going on. They decide to work together for a while, but then they realize they can steal each other's time by killing each other. I've done a lot of supernatural films before this film, so I was looking at stretching my legs a little bit, doing something different. And yeah, this thing came along, and there wasn't a big bad monster that was the main antagonist. It was all the same characters. They each take a turn at being the bad guy, and that's what I did. You got to see different personalities and different sides to the characters come through in this extreme situation.
Awesome. So speaking of that, because you had a lot of characters, you had a pretty big cast, at least to start. So what was it like trying to put together the cast and then eventually working with them?
Yeah, it was interesting. We didn't go through a traditional casting agent like that. We just cast friends of friends. Everyone in the film was a recommendation from someone else. But it worked really well because they were friends in real life, so we didn't have to fake that. And they fell into their chemistry straight away on set. Working with them, it was difficult to get the coverage of 9 characters with just one camera. So we were shooting 10 pages a night for the first 3 nights, which is quite intense for a film. It was difficult to maintain continuity, especially with the level of improvisation we were doing. So to remember that this guy was doing this in this take, and then 3 hours later we're still shooting the same scene, to get him to go back to that was quite difficult. It was challenging, but we worked with it. We made it work.
Yeah, you certainly did. Speaking of challenges, was that the hardest thing, or what else was challenging in making the film?
The vests didn't work properly. That was one of our biggest challenges. They were made as cosplay outfits that we modified, but they're made for convention centers and catwalks. So throwing them into the bush into the jungle for 17 days, running through foliage and shrubbery, it really took its toll on those things. They were very flimsy. The batteries would die. They would constantly change color. We had one vest that we called it the disco vest. It would turn into basically a mirror ball. It would just burst out with purple, blue, and pink lights. Very, very dramatic. Just before the guy's about to explode. So that was difficult, and there were 9 of them. So we'd get 1 up and running, or we'd get 8 up and running, and then the 1 would bomb out. So that I never want to see those things again in my life.
Well, at least no one really exploded. At least.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna burn them one day. Burn them.
you kind of spoke a little bit about the setting there, and one of the questions I asked some of the other actors, I thought one of the challenges for them would be working in the forest. And had you ever worked around like that kind of scenery before and maneuvering and filming like that?
Yeah, so I've actually done a lot of films. I did Indigenous in the Panamanian jungle. My last film, Willow Street, also ended up in the same woods. So yeah, like I knew what we were in for. What I wasn't prepared for was the rain. Like we got rained out heavily throughout this film, and that cost us a lot of time. So we had to improvise, shoot scenes quickly, flip the schedule around, incorporate, things that would have taken place over 2 or 3 scenes down into one scene. That was the biggest hurdle to overcome with regards to that. We're also trying to play it safe and be responsible and not take shortcuts. So it's, you get tempted. You get tempted to, can I do this quickly or must I do it correctly? And we've always got to do it correctly because, it's not worth hurting anyone over.
Especially in the night, which makes it extra difficult.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to move slowly and cautiously and, survive it.
I think it was Sean that told me that I think in his first cut he said he slipped and fell. So
he slipped and fell, yeah. And he's a very old man, so
you almost had disaster just right off the bat.
Straight away, he's going to limp his way through the rest of the scene.
One of the things I thought I really liked about the film is right when you first see the first explosion, you think, okay, well now we're going to get to see a whole bunch of people blowing up, but instead it's more than that. You get to actually see characters die and fighting each other and stuff like that. So talk a little bit about bringing the special effects in and kind of going that route as far as instead of just blowing up everybody.
Well, we wanted to do all the effects very practically. We didn't want to do CGI or anything like that. We wanted to keep it as gritty and as guttural and visceral as possible. We didn't have very high expectations of the makeup during pre-production, but we hired this really cool mom and son team that just blew us away on set. They the first time we saw the prosthetics, we were on set, and they were just so gross and amazing. We were able to do it all in camera, show it on screen, which we were expecting to do it off camera. Just have sound effects cover it. So they really just. Yeah, it was such a passion project for them. They threw everything they had at it. And they used real, guerrilla techniques to do it. They weren't using the expensive silicone and all that kind of stuff, They were doing homemade products to make these things look realistic.
It looked really good. And I'm guessing that was extra even harder being out in the forest there and with the rain and so forth.
Yeah, so there's one scene where the makeup is actually falling off the guy's face, but we patched that up in CGI. It was just, the rain was just too slippery and it wasn't sticking to the actor's skin. But yeah, that was look, I think that would have been difficult anyway. That wasn't necessarily tricky because of the forest. Obviously the rain made it harder, but they were super prepared, and they molded it to the actors' faces. So they've done a good job. They were the least of the problems,
And obviously, I kind of get from what you're saying is that you preferred the practical over the CGI.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I think it's just way more realistic. You know that you got it when you go home that night, and I think horror fans appreciate that as well. It's like they know that it takes extra time and effort to, it feels tangible. It feels realistic. Opposed to this, fake CGI blood flying everywhere. You just don't feel those hits.
Yeah, definitely. From a fan's perspective and talking with many fans, we always prefer the practical over the CGI. And
yeah,
I know there are times for CGI, but fans always appreciate the more real, the more better.
I 100% agree. Totally agree.
I believe the film. I think I saw it as Fright Fest, but I've seen so many films I might be confused.
Okay.
But talk about getting the film out there, especially in the environment we are now. I've asked several filmmakers about this. It's not really a fault of you guys' own. It's kind of the world we're in, but movies not being able to be seen in theaters. How do you feel about that and feel about the distribution of this film?
I mean, I think it's everyone's dream to see their movie on the big screen, but ultimately it's going to live on the small screen. You know, you're only going to be in theaters for, 2-3 weeks anyway before you swallow it up by like a massive film. So I don't really care about that kind of stuff. I want the film to just live on where it needs to live on. I don't mind if we skip the theatrical experience. I think it's leveled the playing field a little bit. You know, we're not going up against massive movies like we would have. We're not going up against, even TV shows have kind of like died down a little bit. So it's like an open, fair lane to get your stuff out there, So I'm excited. I think this is cool for us.
It is definitely different. I mean, I guess from a fan's perspective, again, certain movies you just kind of really want to see on the big screen, and then others, you're okay with seeing at home or whatever. I guess it just kind of depends on what's presented. Yeah,
I mean, like I want to see James Bond on the big screen. I'd be disappointed if I had to settle for watching it on my TV. But yeah, I mean, I think Triggered is something you can watch with your friends at home. And crack open some beers, watch it with buddies. It's like I think it's a different way of owning it, and I'm cool with that.
And speaking of that kind of situation, then if you're watching with your friends, then you can decide who are your real friends and who aren't.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can decide which one of you dies first, right then and there.
I kind of ended up asking Sean this question, but did you kind of think about yourself in that situation, what you would have done?
I would have just run into the dark and quietly committed suicide. I think I'm not a brave man. I'm not a big guy. I wouldn't go up against any of my friends. They all work out way more than I do. So I would just go cry in the corner and quietly blow up. Say my prayers.
I think Sean kind of said the same thing, that he would have just accepted his fate.
Just accepted his fate, yeah.
On that light note, I guess I'll wrap it up with one final question for you, and kind of give you a chance to give one last promotion for the film and tell fans what they can expect and why they should watch this movie.
Yeah, man, you can expect a fun little movie that people put a lot of heart and soul into. I think it's a roller coaster ride. It's got your guts, your blood. It's got some witty jokes. And I think it's worth a watch. You're not going to know what you expect. Yeah, what you're expecting is not what you're going to get, and I think you're gonna dig it. If you love the characters, you'll have someone to root for, and if you hate the characters, I promise you, most of them die anyway. So there's something in it for everyone. Please don't pirate it.
I love that part of the answer. I love that. But yeah, that's it, and I thank you for your time. I appreciate talking with you, and I definitely enjoyed the movie. I really did.
Thank you, Amar. Thank you very much.